Mark Wagner here, your weekly Dental Bite. I'm excited about this one. I look forward to this event every single year. It's pretty special. It's been 11 or 12 years where I started as a bottom dwelling dental representative and now worked my way up into having my own booth on the floor. I'm joined by, without further ado, Mr. Bruce Ward, the chairman of the PDC. You gave me your title. I fumble through titles and things, but how are you doing today? Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for asking to do this. We always like to talk about the PDC whenever we can.
Yeah, no, like being from, I'm from the area, and it's such a special event for everybody locally. Everybody in the industry, it's all about what strategy are we going in with. It's a big deal for a lot of the main players like the Dentsply Sironas, the ADEX, the Pattersons, the St. Clairs, and the Henry Scheins of the world. There's a lot of activity on that floor, and sales activity and information going back and forth. The rooms, lots of cool speakers going on. Like, how do you keep things fresh? How do you keep things different? Let's just dive into it.
Sure. Well, the PDC's been around every year. It's developed. So when I first got into dentistry, I started working in North Vancouver back in 1978 as a dentist. And I didn't go to the PDC for the first few years because it wasn't the PDC at the time. It was called the BC Dental Meeting. And it was, 35 years ago. It was a very small meeting, but it was recommended that there be a dental meeting for the dentists of BC to participate in, to come together with their staff and do some continuing education and opportunity for salespeople to come. And it's just gradually grown over the years from very humble beginnings to now it's the largest dental meeting in Canada. And so it's been just wonderful. I've been participating with it on the organizing group for 24 years. And I guess I've been the chair of our organizing group for the last probably 10 or 12 years.
Now, like from the beginning, what did the meeting look like in the beginning? Like, what venue was it at? How many folks attended?
A couple of smaller hotels. It had a few ballrooms and a few classrooms and things like that. And in one of the ballrooms they put up the exhibits, and it was quite small. But as I said, there seemed to be some kind of demand or appetite for enlarging it, and every year it became bigger and bigger. And we had many years ago we had we hired a full-time manager to run the place, who hired a couple of staff people, and now we have a really dedicated staff of 4 people, 4 or 5 people, and they work all year long on the PDC. And our organizing group meets probably 7 times a year. Our scientific committee meets almost every month, and our exhibits committee meets 3 or 4 times, 5 or 6 times maybe in the year. And so we're meeting all year long. We're planning it. We're trying to look at ways that we can keep it fresh, because we realize that it's a very, dental meetings are a really delicate balance, right? If you get the dentist coming and the staff's coming, then the exhibitors come, and the exhibitors are really what financially drive the meeting. And if you get enough exhibitors, then the dentists and staff come. So the minute you lose one or the other, you start to get into some problems. So every year we try to keep everybody happy so that they'll come back the following year.
What typical things do you hear from every specific group? Like, let's start with the dentists. Like, what are they looking for? Is it a CE opportunity? A lot of them are on the floor looking for deals as well. Sure. What are the 3 top things that from the dental audience? What are they looking for?
I think. Well, first of all, in British Columbia, the British Columbia Dental Association most dentists are members of the BC Dental Association. I think 95% of our members are the dentists in BC belong to the BC Dental Association. So the Pacific Dental Conference is a member benefit to our dentists, and as long as they enroll or sign up before the early bird deadline, which is usually in early January, the meeting's free for them to come. Um, so everybody usually signs. We usually get about, as I said, between 82 and 85% of the dentists in BC come, which makes it great for the exhibitors because then they're getting FaceTime with like 85% or 80% of the dentists in the province. But I think mostly why the dentists come, partly it's to look at the supplies and look at the floor, but it's also to bring their teams, their hygienists, their receptionists, their CDAs, and to get CE. Like all dentists in BC have to have 90 hours of continuing education every 3 years. So the PDC is a great opportunity to get that for not only for the dentist but for the team. So the CE is one of the reasons they come. The second is because there's so many exhibitors there, and as you said, a lot of times you can find good deals on the floor. That's one of the problems we have ongoingly is trying to get our exhibitors to realize that if they offer show specials, people will participate. Quite often they'll offer show specials, but they start a month before the PDC and finish a month after. So like, what's the point? But we keep on telling them, no, have a show special, a loss leader to bring people into your booth. And I guess the third reason, and I think this is the most important reason for people coming, is it's a very social meeting. I've been to a lot of dental meetings across North America, and not very many of them have the social aspect that the Pacific Dental Conference has. You see classmates getting together and workmates getting together and teams hanging out, and it's really great. So I think those are the three main reasons: CE, team building, and socializing.
I'm completely biased, but that venue it's stunning.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even the show floor, right? It's such a there's such a vibe being down right on the water. In the background you have the float planes taking off and coming and going, and it's such a beautiful spot.
Well, down on the floor, if I could just say, one of the things we started to do about maybe 7 years ago was we carved out an area of the floor that we were selling booths to, and we created the live dentistry stage, which was a really big deal for us because you lose a lot of booths, but it really adds value to the whole convention floor because we have a huge screen. I think it's 20 by 40-foot screen,
It's huge, yeah.
and we're doing live demonstrations. And one of the big differences the PDC has over most meetings, I think all meetings, is we serve lunch on the floor on the Thursday and Friday. So we actually serve between 5,000 and 6,000 lunches on the floor. So everybody comes down to the floor after the lectures, and they get their lunch. And then a lot of people sit in the live dentistry stage, and they'll be sitting there eating their lunch, watching perio surgery or watching extractions or something, totally bloody mess up on the screen. But they're just sitting there and eating. Only a dental crowd could do that. But it makes for a really lively, exciting floor to be on because there's lots of stuff. You can see the live dentistry stage from all parts of the floor. And what it's done is it's opened up a whole other end of the exhibit hall to us that before was kind of quiet, and now it's like where the action is. So that's one of the things. And so you asked about what's in it. So for exhibitors, what it is to get FaceTime with 85% of the dentists in BC. It's we do provide lunch, and we provide drinks at the end of the dinner, or at the end of the sessions, and it's all part of the registration fee. So for dentists who get in for free, they get their lunches, they get their drinks. But for their staff, everybody comes down to the convention floor after, and everybody comes down to the convention floor and they eat, they have a couple of drinks, they talk to the exhibitors. So usually, traditionally in meetings, as soon as the last lecture happens, everybody leaves. And as soon as lunch happens, the floor is dead. But at the PDC, it's probably the most active times is lunchtime and at the end of the evening. So for exhibitors, they get a lot of FaceTime, they get a lot of interaction, a lot of traffic, which is really, if you're going to be there, you want to be busy and you want to be working. So, we try to take care of that part of it, and that really makes a difference to the exhibitors, and it makes a difference to their sales and their results.
Speaking to that screen, it's one of the, like, it's super crisp and clear. I've actually I was part of a production for Dr. Ed Lowe. He was up on the stage presenting, and seeing my video up on that screen from across the whole hall was a pretty special moment for me. So it is
technologically, it's incredible. It's a big, huge LED screen, and the good part about the organizing group and about the Pacific Dental Conference is we have nobody telling us how to run the meeting. We do it as an organizing group, and we do it so there's nobody saying, oh, you should be selling booths in that space instead, or no, you can get a different kind of screen that doesn't work quite as well. So we're able to actually spend the money in order to produce something that we can be proud of, rather than something that you just go, oh, sorry about the quality, but there's still a good idea. But the screen's amazing.
Yeah, it makes the event more dynamic. It's cool. It gives that cool vibe. So, how do you determine? Because there's only so much time on the floor. How do you determine who gets that floor time?
Oh, it's very interesting. So this year is no exception. Every year our floor sells out, and this year it's sold out, and we have a waiting list with 70 people on it. So
I'm one of them.
Oh, you are.
We're waiting for. Hopefully, we can get our booth. So yeah, we're one of those.
So how it's done is we have an exhibits committee, and we send out notification by email to all of our former exhibitors saying it's going to open. Registration for booths is going to open at a certain time, and what they do is, if anybody gets 6 booths or more, they kind of form the floor plan. So they put 6 booths. Some people will get as many as 20 booths. Some people get like Kerr, when Kerr was around, they would buy booths all over the floor. They buy them. They didn't all want to be in one place, but other people they say, I want a 10 booth place, and I like it here. And so we try to for those people, we try to actually, that's the first people, they get put in, and that kind of determines how the floor is going to get set up. Then and then there's a second tranche of exhibitors for between 2 and 6 booths, who then go online at a certain point at a certain time of the day, and then they put their choice for booths in, and sometimes they get their choices and sometimes they don't really, but it's sort of, and then for single booths after that, singles and doubles, there's another date where all of a sudden they say, okay, at this point in time, get online, and people will wait. And if it's at noon on a certain day, if you get in at 12:04, the floor is gone. It's already sold out. So we try to do it as fairly as possible, but we make it. We've talked about loyalty rewards or those kind of things, but those things usually don't work out so well. So what we do is it's 6 and above, 2 to 6, and then doubles and singles, and the exhibits committee then plops them in all over the place, and then we sell the remaining booths as they come up. Sometimes people will cancel their booth subscription, and that opens up a booth for somebody who's on the waiting list.
Is there any talk of expanding that floor so that, because I'm one of those folks that are waiting on the wait list to get up, and is there a floor? Sorry?
Yeah. There's no room. We totally fill the floor up. So
for sure.
We'd love to expand it, but again, we have lounges in each of the 4 corners for people to eat, right? There's, if you don't provide enough space for people to come down, get their box lunch, they got no place to go. We could make the hall bigger by cutting down on the lounges, but then we'd have nothing but complaints about there's no place to sit. And people are sitting all over the place and going and sitting in dental chairs and booths eating. And, it just, so we could get rid of some of our common space, but then it would make it not as welcoming for people.
Yeah, I completely understand that. It's kind of nice to just cruise around the center and just look at all the sites and find a little cool place to sit. How are we incenting, especially the decision makers in the practice to go and explore all the manufacturers and vendors that have spent the money to be on the floor? Is there sort of incentive for them to go and say hello to everybody?
I think we quite often we leave that up to the exhibitors. Like a lot of times, people have a group of some of the exhibitors have a list of their clients. They say we're going to be at the PDC in booth number 604, and please come and visit us. And we got show specials, and so a lot of it's up to the exhibitors. A lot of time, I know a lot of the assistants, the hygienists, and the receptionists love walking around the floor, seeing what's new, seeing samples. Going for demonstrations and coming out with a bag full of toothbrushes or toothpaste or those kind of things. So giveaways always do work to a certain extent, but and then over the years we tried things, these games that people play where they go from exhibitor to exhibitor and get a passport stamped or scan a barcode or something like that, and so it's about driving traffic to the booths. And and the exhibitors, if they're on their games, everybody who walks by and looks at your booth is a potential person walking by, and if you can grab them and get them talking, like somebody said once, if somebody walks into the Nordstrom's suit department, they're probably looking for a suit. They're just not, and so same thing. Somebody stops in your booth and starts to look, well, then there's an opportunity to grab them. So it's mostly the fact that everybody's there, the floor's set up for people. We provide things like we have an oxygen bar on the floor, we have photo booths, so we have stuff to make it kind of fun for people. But mostly what it's about is getting people to come down, stay on the convention floor, have a good time, meet people, see their salespeople, time to reconnect, and hopefully sell some products. And sometimes it's spectacularly successful. I mean, there was an exhibitor a couple of years ago who sold $1 million worth of equipment in the 2 days on the floor, and those kind of results are hard to ignore.
Yeah, no, I've been on that side of the business. There's a substantial amount of transactions happening. It's pretty crazy, especially that main street when you first walk in. Last year it was bright red, and everybody sort of was in that front area, speaking with their distributor rep. It's pretty exciting.
And once again, you can make the carpets or you can make the aisles much smaller. I've been to meetings where the aisles are quite cramped and crowded, and it just doesn't feel good, So we lose exhibit space, booth space, by making a 40-foot aisle on one hand, but on the other hand, that's what makes the floor nice to be in.
Like the sheer amount of people down that main stretch in between Sinclair and Henry Schein and Patterson, especially, you can't cram that anymore. It's like a little maze, at the peak times, navigating your way.
If the aisle was half the size, it would be impossible. It would be impossible.
Yeah. So what's the process in getting one of these breakout sessions, these rooms? I was talking to, I think it was Michelle Glover, maybe a year back. Do you need to prove yourself or be somebody of stature to get one of these breakout session rooms? Like, how does that process work?
You mean a course, like a lecture?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
No, actually, we have a scientific committee. I think there's four to six people on the scientific committee. And what we do a lot is we scout meetings. So we send people to Chicago, Montreal, Toronto, Seattle, all over North America. And when you go to a meeting as a scout, what you do is you go into each room and you spend 5, maybe 10 minutes in the room, and you see what the speaker sounds like, you see what their AV's like, you see how big the crowd is, whether there's a great, we rate all these speakers on a score of 1 to 5. And our policy is that we don't like to see anybody at the PDC that we haven't personally seen by one of our scouts, and we have them in our database. So we have a database of about 3,000 speakers in all the different modalities of oral surgery, pediatrics, radiology, and then we try to balance and hygiene and dental assisting. We try to balance it all out so that we have something for everybody in every time slot, and that way we know who's there, and we try to get speakers who score 4 or 5, and every once in a while, somebody comes to us and says, we'd like to sponsor a speaker. So if a dental company wants to sponsor a speaker, we don't want to have our attendees go into infomercials just about buy my stuff, everything else is crap.
Right.
So those are some of the agreements that we make with the speakers. And every once in a while, we'll take a speaker that we haven't seen. Sometimes it bites us in the butt, and sometimes it works out great. So we find it's better if we've had a personal experience that at least one person on our committees had an experience of the speaker, and then and when you find a great speaker at another meeting, it's kind of like a little jewel. You just go, oh my God, it just talking about surgery. Oh, it was incredible. People, and so then we'll endeavor to try and get them to come to the PDC, and it's how speaker. When you go to a meeting like Chicago, they're known for their scouting program. So 130 scouts from all across North America come, and when you're scheduling your speakers, you use that as a way of saying, look, you're going to be in front of 130 scouts from all these dental meetings. So how about giving us a break on your per diem? So the health of a meeting is determined a lot by how many scouts come to your meeting and look at what you're doing so they can take it back to their meetings. And we've been very successful in the last probably 10 years with our scouting attendance at our meetings.
What are the top 3 most attended sessions?
Mostly the sessions that are the best attended are the ones that are for certified dental assistants, hygienists, general stuff, general office or general health or medical, that kind of thing, street drugs, something that would appeal to everybody. Mostly we find that the dental lectures aren't, they're well attended, especially if you get a big name. But for the most part, we have 3 ballrooms that we have to fill in the west building of the convention center, and we have 3 ballrooms in the east building that we have to fill. And in the east building, we have our program mostly for hygienists and certified dental assistants. So in there, they'll be talking about cancer screening, for instance, for dental hygienists and assistants. And if you do a dental course, usually a room for 200 to 400 people is sufficient. It's hard to fill a ballroom with a strictly dental seminar, but courses for general interest courses on nutrition, supplements, as I said, street drugs, forensics. Seems a lot of the staff love forensic dentistry, so they'll fill a ballroom with forensic dentists. So those are the most popular ones, the ones that are more generic for everybody. And then the dental courses fall there, and then the financial courses are in the smaller rooms. So, and then we have some courses we know aren't going to be incredibly well attended, but they're also they appeal to a certain specific element, and so we put those in the smaller rooms. We have rooms anywhere from 50 seats to 900, and so we got to figure out how to put people. It's a science that the scientific committee actually is still working on. Every once in a while you got a room that's so full that people can't get in, and people aren't very happy about that. And I don't blame them. They want to see it. They want to see a lecture, and there's no room in there. So even though they got there on time and all of that stuff, so the better we can estimate how big an audience this is going to draw, the better it is for everybody.
Yeah, like how the heck do you keep 20,000 people happy?
Yeah,
What a balance! Like on all fronts, that's a full-time job for 4 people.
Right, and we're dentists, so you can work in your office and treat 400 patients a month and do an incredible job on 398 of them. But 2 people had a problem, and all of a sudden you're just you're gnashing your teeth, and you want to, you just want to beat yourself up because not everybody's happy. And it's the same thing at the PDC. There's always our lunches aren't good enough, or I couldn't get into the lecture I wanted to get into, or it was too cold in the room, or too hot in the room, or I couldn't hear, or couldn't see. So yeah, we have to be able to. You can't keep everybody happy all the time, but our goal is to keep as many people happy as we can.
And Dr. Ward, it's always the same people complaining about the same things. I bet. That's my guess that I'm putting on the table.
Sometimes. And people have a point. So we actually do a survey, and we look at the criticisms and see whether, is there something we could do to mitigate that the following year. So that's we use that as helping us make the meeting better, so that you're never going to, as you say, you're never going to make everybody happy all the time, but to the extent that you can make most people happy, or look like you're, or work on making people happy, I think that's kind of the important thing.
Yeah, and it's keeping it to a minimum. What does a debrief look like after the show's been done? What sort of conversations are happening like when the show's said and done?
Well, we do an exhibitor survey, and we do a participant survey, which gets some answers. I mean, the truth is, if you're upset about something that happened at PDC, you're definitely going to fill out your survey. If nothing occurred, you may or may not. But we actually go over. So we have a debrief about a month after the meeting's over. We talk about any problems that occurred, any complaints that were had, any difficulties with speakers, any difficulties with exhibitors, things that worked and things that didn't work for the following year. And it's usually a half 4 or 5 hour meeting of the organizing group, and that's kind of our completion. And then we're planning the next year's.
That's yeah. I pop back in my head here that oxygen bar. I mean, the night after the dental court meeting, that oxygen bar is it's kind of handy.
Yeah, people are lined up for that thing,
Yeah,
and again, it's all about putting stuff in certain areas. Again, that area where the oxygen bar is was an area that had low traffic for us, and so putting the oxygen bar there brings lots of people to that area, and people come even to just look at it. And some people stick around, and others say, "Well, I'm going to go and check out these booths around the oxygen bar." So there's people who, when they book their booths, they want to be close to the oxygen bar, just like they want to be close to the live stage or the photo booth or the lunch lounges. And so everybody's got their position that they like to be on the floor in. But yeah, the oxygen bar, we've had that for quite a few years, and he's a great guy, and it's a lovely addition to the meeting.
and it's cool. I forget what they were collecting money for. It was all by
Yeah,
donation too,
yeah.
but
It's called Save a Smile, and it's a charity of the BC Dental Association. It's about paying for kids, low income children who can't afford dental care. And so, yeah, a few years ago, Rick, the guy who runs the oxygen bar, said, "How about if we do this by donation?" Because I mean, we pay them to be there and stuff. And he goes, "How about if we do donation?" And he's great. He doubles what he collects, and so usually there's some money going to Save a Smile every year, and it lets people just sit there and feel they're also participating and helping out.
yeah, it's awesome, and they're so genuine and nice there. What are the top three things that you're most excited about this coming? And I can't believe that we're almost at the end of January here. The show's in a month now. Like, it's crazy. What things are you looking forward to this year?
Well, this year we've actually had a complete change in our meeting management system. What we had was great technology, but it was starting to time out, and the programmer that's worked with us since the beginning is probably he's getting ready to leave. So we realized we needed a new system. So this year, we're excited about it on one hand, and concerned a little bit on the other hand, because we're not sure how it's going to go. It's hard to train people to do new things, and people have been going to the PDC for years. They go, "Wait a second, where's my name badge? I didn't get my name badge mailed to me. How come I don't have it?" And this year we're doing something different, in that we're printing the name badges on site. So people will come to the meeting with a barcode, and they'll scan the barcode, and 20 seconds later you've got your name tag. So you can't forget it at home, because you just printed it at the place. So we're excited to see how that works, and if it works, it's going to make a big difference to the flow in the morning. And so we got a whole bunch of new technology happening. We've got some
That's cool.
great speakers coming, a lot of speakers that we haven't had at the PDC before. So that's always really a good thing for all of us to see. And yeah, we got a couple of some great speakers on the floor, on the live stage, which hopefully will drive participation and create some excitement down on the floor.
Yes, it's cool, and I was part of one of those productions. It's
Yeah.
quite something to have the camera floating around and being a part of that. It's pretty cool.
That
Um,
was that presentation that Ed Lowe did was pretty cool. It
you,
was quite amazing. Yeah.
yeah, the
So
veneer case. It was
yeah,
pretty awesome. Yeah,
and to see that in real time on the floor, rather than a film of how it happened or something, or to see somebody do perio surgery, or we've had a laser presentation where it totally didn't work out. So what happens in practice practice, right? And you're doing it in front of 400 people who are watching you and eating their lunch.
Yeah, yeah. I'm used to the AV things and things goofing up. It
Yeah,
kind of makes it more real, doesn't it?
it does. It really,
Yeah.
well, it's what happens, you know?
Yeah. Now coming into this conversation and speaking with your committee and your team, what top of mind things were you guys discussing before coming on the show? Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to chat about?
No. Like I said, I think the organizing group, we have an amazingly dedicated group of dentists and a hygienist, as well as our staff, and it's a group of people who've been together. Some of us have been on that committee for 20. One of us has been there 27 years. I've been there 25 years. So, and then we have a bunch of new guys, new people on the committee, and that's really exciting to have new people come on and have them get as excited about PDC as we are, us old hands. And it's really, we start on Tuesday. Our exhibits team gets there on Tuesday in the morning and helps with the setup, helps everybody with their setup on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we all meet on site on Wednesday night. And it's just, there's so many moving parts to it, but we have a great staff, and we have a very hands-on committee. So everybody on the committee's got a job they do. It's either traffic control or supervising lunches, or we're walking around the place wearing our white shirts, and so we're easily answering questions, handling overflowing rooms, handling problems with AV, all that kind of stuff. And so mostly everybody's there to make it the smoothest meeting we've ever had. And last year we had our largest attendance ever. When you add the exhibitors to the people who are attending, we had 14,830 people or something, which is, that's a lot of people to move in and out of the meeting. So we don't know every year how many people we're going to get, but we're always hoping that it just has a slight uptick. Last year there was 2 people more than we had the year before, so we beat our record by 2 last year.
By 2? Is that it?
That's it. And
2?
we were worried. It wasn't until Saturday morning that a pair of dentists on their way to Whistler said, "Look, we want to write this trip off, so we'd like to sign up for the convention." So that put us over the top. There you go.
Well, thanks to them for the record. That's awesome. And I like to speak to the army that is, staging everything before that show begins. I don't know if other folks have seen what goes into the setup. It is crazy, the things coming in and out of the door, the big boxes, like they're setting up operatories. It's pretty crazy.
I wish I had a time-lapse camera in one corner of the convention floor and started it with the whole empty floor, and then just watch all the stuff coming and going and everybody moving around. And there's cherry pickers putting signs up on the ceiling and everything else. And you get there on Wednesday night and you go, oh my God, there's no way this is going to be ready for 8 in the morning on Thursday. And yet you get in there on Thursday morning and they're just vacuuming and getting ready for everybody to come in. Yeah.
Like it's just like it's calm after this like craziness that happens. That it's pretty wild.
So everybody's running around freaking out, and then it's all calm. It's all there.
Yeah. Okay, so a final question here: as a clinical attendee, how if in your opinion, how do you get the most out of the show? What activities are you doing as a practice owner?
Well, as a practice owner, first, part of what you want to get out of the meeting is a good experience for your staff. So it would be encouraging your staff to look at the program in advance, decide where they want to go, what courses they want, and if there's courses you as a clinic owner want your staff to take or would like for them to take, then would be seeing what would work for the practice, and if there's a course that would fit into what you want for the practice, encourage them to go and maybe go with them as well, so that you've got something you can work on together as a team. I would say that for everybody. Look at the program. The program's online, and we've got some new features this year with our new management system where you can actually fill in the courses that you want to attend. It doesn't mean you're going to get into the course. You have to be there early enough to get in, but at least you'll have an idea of where you want to go. And as I said, dentists have to have 30 credits of 30 hours of CE a year. Hygienists, I think, are 15 or 18, and CDAs are 12. You can get all of a CDA can get all of their credits for the year, all of their hours of CE for the year at the PDC. Hygienists, most of them, and dentists can get a big chunk of them. So it's valuable to go to as many lectures as you can, provided they provide you something with what that you want.
Awesome. There you go. You heard it. And obviously, best place to find out all this information, website. Yeah, cool.
www.pdc.conf, I think it is, or pdconf. I think that's the website. Anyway, if you look up Pacific Dental Conference, they'll give you the website. The website has all the speakers, the times, the rooms, the social activities. We have a wine tasting on the Thursday night, and we have there's an event that the BC Dental Association does for new dentists on the Friday night. That is new dentists who haven't graduated from UBC or U of T, but come from Australia or passed the national board exams. They don't really have an alumni reception, and so the BC Dental Association provides that for them. So there's a lot of social events going on. And the other thing that's happening a lot is that the rules for CPR has changed, and you have to have your CPR every year. So a lot of people have started to do it at the PDC as part of their CD, as part of their program, and that's a big thing. That's actually a big thing, because it's hard to find CPR courses out in the world. And
what's changed about it? How much, is it compressions to breaths? Has it changed again?
It kind of changes all the time, but what's really changed is the Red Cross has changed the rules. So that used to be you take your course and it was good for 2 years. Now it's only good for 1 year. Oh, okay. So in order to be on side, you actually need to do it every year, and the PDC is a good place to do it. We also have I go to Chicago's dental meeting, and it's probably twice the size of ours. But they have very few hands-on courses and presentations. We have a lot of hands-on courses. So you can spend a day learning how to do crown lengthening, surgical crown lengthening, or you can spend a day doing half a day doing composites, or you can so we have a lot of hands-on courses, and it's a great way to meet the clinicians who are teaching it and learn some new stuff. You have to pay extra for those, but they're usually for 20 or 30 people, and we have a very dynamic hands-on program as well. So
awesome. Yeah, there's nothing like face-to-face, and that proved us so right during those, the dark days of COVID when all this activity was happening online. It's so nice. My personal favorite part is just seeing everybody,
Yeah, of course.
We're all so isolated in our own little world, in this world that is the dental industry, to go around and shake hands and talk about stories and reconnect it's a pretty special time.
See your classmates, see people up the street, see people that you've met in committees, and it's a great opportunity. You see staffers walking around, groups of 10 people, and instead of in the lunchroom talking about work, here they are. You get dressed up. They get to go out and go out to dinner afterwards. They're downtown Vancouver. Our hotel blocks are almost all sold out right now. We just added a couple more hotels because we do get a good rate, and it's really nice for people to stay downtown. So we get a lot of people from out of town, get a lot of dentists from Alberta, and their teams come, Saskatchewan, their teams come. The one area that we've really been trying to crack into that we just can't seem to do is the States. We get very few dentists coming up, and you think, wow, they could come up here and it's almost 40% discounted on everything. Incredible CE. You can stay downtown at a hotel. If you convert the PDC rate to American dollars, it's like they're almost paying you to stay, and yet we can't break into the 6,000 or 7,000 dentists that are living in Washington State.
Well, hey, Bruce, maybe we need to have a conversation about how you could advertise to them.
Well, we've tried many different things, and it's interesting because I think the statistic now is 54% of Americans have a passport. They don't have a passport, so they can't come over the border, a lot of them. And if you got a team and two of your team members can't travel over the border, well, then you stay home. So that's part of it. Patterns need to change, and one day we're going to make a breakthrough, I think, and all of a sudden we'll get some Americans up and they'll talk to their friends, and who knows.
Yeah, well, there you go. Just keep pushing. Well, thank you very much, Bruce. I really appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you on the floor.
Well, I hope to see you there too, Mark. Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thanks.